Well, welcome to High School Sports on the Harford Cable Network. I'm Don Morrison along with my partner Bob Frisch. Bob, we're at Pattersonville High School. It's Pattersonville versus Harper Tech in a Chesapeake Division boys soccer game. These two teams have met once before this year. It was a 6-2 win for Pattersonville, and the Huskies coming in at 9-0-1. They're a powerhouse for many, many years under Wes Rich. So Pattersonville, I know, is looking at this game as a necessary game, one that they feel they should win.
Yeah, they're looking to build their resume, and so that they'll get a higher seed when it comes to the state playoffs, which will start very shortly.
You look at Pattersonville over the last number of years. They've won the region championship in 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 19. They were the 1A state champions back in 2018. So under Wes Rich, this team has gone 141, 70, and 6 in the years that he's been the coach, and he's been the only coach they've ever known.
Yeah, it's there's consistency, and with your coaching helps build a program, and they've reached the peak at this point.
And Harper Tech Cobras under the third-year coach Mike Dempsey, a team that's done well. They're coming in with a 6-4 record. They're coming in with 2 straight wins, so they're looking at a chance to maybe come to Pattersonville, pull off the big upset. The last time they played them here on this field, they lost that game, as we said, 6-2. That was a game that was not supposed to be played. Edgewood was supposed to have been the opponent, but instead Edgewood had dropped out as a team. So jumping to the forefront was Pattersonville to play that game. So in a way, Harper Tech benefited by having played this team once already.
Yes, and when you get a chance to see a opponent for the second time, you can never count out what's going to happen. So Tech is looking to build their program. They got a little bit of a younger team this year, and so these are the kind of experiences they need looking forward when those juniors become seniors next year and some of their underclassmen develop into the program that they need.
And now let's honor our country with our national anthem. Bob, it's a beautiful night for soccer. Chilly, maybe in the mid-50s, a little bit lot cooler than it has been, so we're getting a little used to this cool weather, but it should be a great one. Pattersonville dressed in their home teal uniforms with a black trim. Harford Tech, the visitors, dressed in all white. So we're all ready. No wind. Hasn't rained. It's, talking about the conditions, it should be perfect for both teams.
Yeah, this actually is not going to have the weather. It's one of those things as a coach I remember telling my teams, is that, look, you can't do anything about the weather, you can't do anything about the field, you can't do anything about the officials. So the only thing you control is how you play the game.
There you go. Hey, we can give you the starting lineups. First of all, for the visitors from Harper Tech. Up front, it's Reed Dato, Aiden Hall, and Aiden Blevins. They're the first 3. In the midfield, it's Xavier Gazdia, Logan Barkey, I should say, as Ethan Coons. In the back, it's Braden Christ, also along with Xavier Gazdia, who moves back to the back. We have a sub coming in. Chase Pamia is coming in place of one of the captains, Thomas Geyer, and Thomas has an injury, so he won't be able to play. Seth Topfer is the other defensive player. Andrew Wozar, he is the goalie. For Pattersonville, it's Diego Peralta and Benny Wysong. We'll talk more about Benny in a few minutes. Also, Kiefer Icaruso, Alex Salem, Cameron Dawson, Robbie March, Thomas Niblock, Nate Karawaka, Kyle Luday, and Ian Sauer. Ian Sauer is the goalie. It's Kyle Luddy. Sorry, Kyle. And we're underway here. 40-minute halves. Pattersonville going from right to left across your TV screen. Harper Tech in the white going from left to right. Bob, what are you looking for early in the ball game? What are you hoping to see?
I'm looking to see who establishes control of the middle of the field. So looking at the rosters, Pattersonville's, like I said, it's a senior strong unit, and a lot of that seniority and experience shows itself right across the center.
Cameron Dawson, that young man who just carried the ball, number 25. Cameron, the long jumper in the States last year. Made the varsity as a sophomore. He's now a senior. Now remember, none of these kids had a chance to play last year in high school because COVID, there was no sports at all. A little bit long on that cross, Bob.
Yeah, I was hoping to see somebody come through the backside of the box, but like I said, a little bit long.
Talk about scoring opportunities. Certainly those corners are a great scoring opportunity.
Great number of goals are scored off of set pieces, and corner kicks being a lot of those opportunities.
There's a nice center. Down he goes, no flag. In control, Pattersonville. They've had the ball just about the entire time. That defensive unit for for Harford Tech, you've got Braden Christ and Xavier Gasdia, Seth Topper across that back line. We know that they're going to be under a lot of pressure tonight, Bob.
Yeah, we just saw a little bit out of it in the box. It's not always about, you don't have to steal the ball. You just have to make sure that you can stay between your opponent and your goal.
Well, great job there by Ian Sauer coming out to check it by Andrew Wozar, coming out and making that knock away as the ball was thrown just across that goal mouth. Here comes now the Tech Cobras, first time they've had the ball in the offensive zone, and just like that, it's reversed. Wozar will come out, reset it. Andrew Wozar, 5'9", junior. Just underway, we're about 37-20 left in the first half. It was Aiden Warren, number 1 for Havre Grace, making a nice reversal play. While we talked about numbers, as a commentator, you like for numbers that sort of pop out at you. Those Havre Grace, I call them Havre Grace again, those Harper Tech numbers sort of pop out at you. The teal and black, not quite so much.
Yeah,
they're nice, they're pretty.
Yes.
I like them.
And
I can't see the numbers, but I like them.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've officiated some games where the numbers are really dark and some fouls, and sometimes I needed to pull a card or so or talk to a player, and I just literally I couldn't rely on seeing the number. I had to keep my eye on the player so I could recognize who it was I needed to adjust.
Andrew Wozar, of course, my partner Bob Frisch, talking about officiating. He is an official who, you do what, mostly Baltimore County, Bob?
Yes, Baltimore County, Baltimore City, and I do the boys' private schools.
Tony Anathea and Chris Wittstadt, they're the 2 referees tonight, and Bob, you know them. They're both very competent referees.
Yes, a lot of experience there. But these referees have college experience, and as well as senior club level officiating.
Looking to try to get the jump now. Here comes Harper Tech. That's Aiden Hall, number 11.
Unfortunately, he didn't have enough support there. Through the center of the field were a little bit lagging. You need to fill space to support your wing.
Ian Sauer touching the ball for the first time, the goalie. 49 saves for Sauer this year. He's had 5 shutouts on the year. Again, we remind you the Pattersonville Huskies are 9-0-1. Manchester Valley, the only blemish on their record, was a double overtime 0-0 tie.
Manchester Valley always has a strong program.
Harper Tech coming in, they've had a weird season. They started out with 4 straight wins, and then they had 4 straight losses, and now they've won their last 2, so they are 6-4. Again, we talked about that game earlier, that 6-2 game that the Pattersonville Huskies won on this field. talking to the coaches from Harper Tech earlier, and they said it's a little bit of a problem having played this team, Pattersonville, twice, both on their field. Goalie having to make a decision, stays back. Good job defensively. Didn't pick up that number, the defender, but he made a nice play, Bob. Goalie looked like he was sort of indecisive. Do I come out or do I stay back?
Well, I think he realized his defender was going to be able to meet the challenge.
Well, young man, we've called the number a couple of times already to Cameron Dawson. Left footer, and again, Bob, you know as a soccer person, finding somebody with a strong left foot to play that left side, that's like finding gold.
Yep, it's certainly an advantage.
Back in the day when I was a teacher and had lunchroom duty and a baseball coach, I always looked around to see which kid was eating his peas with his left hand, using a fork, of course.
Yes.
And if he was, I would say to him, have you ever pitched? Because left-handed pitchers are, again, golden. That was Cameron Dawson again, making a great play. We've called his number quite a few times already. Just about 7 minutes into the game. Neither team with any real scoring opportunity at this time. Nice center. It was a good job by keeper Icaruso, by the way, number 5.
Got numbers. Can he do anything with it? This is a little hard on the touch there.
Yeah. Coming out and making that quick scoop. Ian Sauer, the goalie for Pattersonville. Bob, a senior, it's always great to have a person with experience. Sauer has been on the varsity since he was a freshman. Now a senior. Headed for Drexel next year is Ian Sauer. It's going to be in visual effects. I don't know what that means. Is that like cartoons?
Maybe he can make mirages.
Oh, nice stop by Harford Grace. Looked like, did I say Harford Grace again?
Yeah.
Harford Tech. And there's a goal from way out.
Oh my.
Don't know who had that goal in. We'll wait till we see a replay here. That goal came from about, what, 15 yards?
Pattersonville Huskies goal was scored by number 17, Alex Salem.
Alex Salem is the young man who gets credit for that score. Salem has a game-winning goal already. 6 goals on the year. Now he's got 7. Now you'll see this shot coming from way outside. That's Salem without a chance to make the save.
That was
Wozar.
been a difficult save for any keeper. Upper corner. Keeper probably not expecting a shot from that distance, outside of the box, but truly a great shot.
So with 32:25 left in the first half, it's Salem with the goal, a 1-0 lead for Pattersonville over Harper Tech. And Bob, if I say Harford Grace one more time, you can just go ahead and punch me right here.
It's the H.
Now, I'm thinking their uniforms look like the Harford Grace uniforms. I'm using that as my excuse. We were saying with Tom, the cameraman, always have someone to blame or something to blame. Don't ever take blame for making a mistake. Sorry, we promised not to say Harford Grace ever again this game. Harper Tech in the white. Tech looking to try to get even now.
Good tackle there. Got that all ball.
Bob, we're really late in the season. Pattersonville has just 1 game left in the regular season. And then there's like a break between the end of the regular season and the beginning of the playoffs. I'm told because had there been a difficulty with COVID postponed games, that they would have some time to be able to play those last regular season games.
Well, the beginning of the tournament statewide runs through the 27th of this month to the 2nd of November. And then we'll move on to the quarterfinals. That'll either be played on November 5th or 6th. The semifinals for the state are November 12th or 13th, and then the finals will run through the 18th through the 20th.
So we'll be well into the winter season by the time these things wind up.
I worked a state final about 4 years ago, And of course, the state finals are played on Thursday evening, Friday evening, and then all day and all night on Saturday because they have 4 divisions and they have to play all of the boys and all the girls.
Nice stop there by Andrew Wozar.
Try to score from that direction, a little far out, and then it was directly at the keeper. But
Wozar.
I'll tell you, we had the very last game on that Saturday night, and I don't think I have ever officiated a game that was colder than that. So this feels like summer.
Compared to that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
An opening.
Oh, my.
And
Good
just,
clear.
yeah, it is. Had an opening there for just a moment.
Yeah, it looked like Vinny Wysong on that. He just couldn't pull the trigger soon enough.
Penny Wysong with 10 goals on the year. We did a girls soccer game here a week or so ago, and we had the 2 Wysong young ladies. They are the sisters of Vinny Wysong. Of course, the older sister, the senior, out for the year with an injury. The younger sister, a freshman. Vinny's had 3 game-winning goals this year. I think you said, Bobby, had the winning goal in the overtime win over Bel Air.
Yes, he did. And the young man who scored our first goal here this evening had the original goal in that game.
Yeah, talking about Salem. Alex Salem, the center halfback. Alex, a swimmer, also plays lacrosse. He's in the biomed program. Anytime Pattersonville or any of these schools can beat Bel Air, they're the parent school. You know, Pattersonville was formed in 2005 out of the southern attendance area of Bel Air. Nice clear there by Pattersonville. 28-10 left in this first half. Huskies having scored at 32-25. A great goal by Alex Salem. He hit that ball, Bob, that was from what, about maybe 15, 18 yards out?
Actually close to, well, if we're looking at the football lines, it would be 15, so add another 10 to go back into the goal area for us. So he strikes that from 25 yards out. That's ambitious to strike a ball from that far.
And he hit it so squarely that the goalie had no chance at all to make the save. It's almost like he was frozen in his tracks.
That's the guy. He was frozen. There wasn't anything he could do about it anyway.
Yeah. Beautifully done. Yeah, I guess we should remind folks the field is actually 120 yards long, so the goals are at the back line of what would be the football field. Blue lines are the out-of-bounds lines, I believe. Or
No, the gold lines. That's, and I can tell you that sometimes that can be confusing for an official because they have many athletic contests are played on these fields. Sure. So you have lacrosse, you have field hockey, you have soccer and football, and you have to be on your toes to make sure that you're calling the correct colored line out of bounds.
Football's kind of easy because they got the hash marks on the white out of bounds line, but then it gets confusing. Got a blue line, a gold line, and that's field hockey and lacrosse, and as you said, soccer. So these multi-purpose fields, beautiful. Love the turf, but it's great again that they can use them for so many different sports.
Well, it used to be that we would have a lot more games that were canceled during the course of the season because the field's conditions were so bad when we were playing on grass that was used by same thing in a number of different sports. But this really takes care of it. It's been honestly, I can't think I have ever seen a game that was a soccer game anyway that was postponed on a turf field.
Just a bit wide.
Yes, and that's what I was waiting for the referee to see if he saw it. It was a deflection off the fender, so it goes to a corner kick. Actually, that ball had might have had enough curve and a sneak inside the post. So you don't take chances. You stick your leg out there, or you do what you need to do to make sure it doesn't get past you.
That was keeper Icaruso who almost had that goal in the close corner. Another corner kick. Well, he's got a nice leg, that young man who brought the ball in. You'd like to put it right across the goal mouth and then have folks just attack it.
Yeah, the secret is to not have it so close that the keeper can come out to get it. I mean, he has such an advantage anyway. He can use his hands and he can jump up in the air so he can get over anybody that's going to try to head the ball.
Yep.
But at the same time, you want to make sure that it's far enough where he doesn't come out. And the keeper's got to be careful there, too, because they don't want to get caught in what they call no man's land.
Yeah. Harper Tech trying to clear the ball. They finally were able to do that. Tech really hasn't had a, let's say, a scoring opportunity yet. They've got the ball down in the offensive zone, but they really just haven't had enough players down there.
Yeah. They've been a little off on some of their passes or their touches to be able to maintain control to put any pressure on Pattersonville's defense or the keeper.
Wes Rich, we talked about him, 141, 70, and 6 in his career. He coached at Bel Air before Pattersonville broke away from Bel Air back in '05 when the school was begun. Coached with Dominic Rose over there at Bel Air, legendary name in soccer in the county. Pattersonville on the attack, coming up on the 24-minute mark left in the half. Nice centering pass. Harper Tech's ball. Tony Athanasia and Chris Wistat, the two officials. Chris Wistat, the official on the near side that you'll see coming into your picture. Good clear by Pattersonville. Harper Tech, the throw in coming. That's Logan Barkey, number 3, who throws the ball in. Aiden Warren, who plays that center halfback position for Harper Tech. Nice job defensively, disrupting that.
Just to get a toe in there, disrupt them, take them off the ball.
We mentioned that Thomas Geyer, one of the captains of Harper Tech, not playing tonight. He came in with an injury, sort of a game time decision. That's a big loss for a team that's building. Geyer, one of the seniors on the team. 6 goals and 3 assists, captain. Replaced by Chase Pania. We give Harper Tech credit, Bob. They have kept the pressure on.
Getting a little more movement on the ball, a little control, a little more control at midfield.
It's Aiden Blevins, number 20, who had a little bit of a thing going there. Aiden Warren, number 1. Trying to reset. All the way back to the goalie, where Andrew Wozar will put it back in play. Bob, the sport of soccer takes so much coordination. You know, obviously you can only use your feet or your head. Can't use the parts of your body, your hands or arms. So to learn the skills of being able to pass the ball using only your feet and not being able to use the hands, which is sort of the automatic thing you turn to. It's just a beautiful sport when played well.
And that's exactly what they call it, the beautiful sport, the beautiful game.
Andrew Wozar with that save. Nice job by Wozar. He really cut off the angle. There was no chance that ball was going to get in from where he was. That only goal of the game so far, scored at 32-15. It was a one-timer by Salem, Alex Salem of the Pattersonville Huskies.
Now there, a little push in the back.
Salem, his 7th goal of the year. Salem also with 4 assists. Coming from the halfway mark, 20 minutes, 40 seconds and counting. Warriors, I almost said it. The Cobras able to track it down before it goes out.
My dad. It was something he had to do.
Yes, I'm happy to meet you.
Pattersonville on the move. Nice pass. Logan barking number 3.
Good go. Oh.
Little push. Let's see if something gets called, and it does.
And we're going to see it. Here's the card.
A yellow card comes out. Now, Bob, explain that. When you put out the yellow card, what happens?
Well, it's more than just a simple foul. And so the player gets the yellow card. He has to go off the field. And it sends a message to him and the other players as to what kind of conduct the referees will accept. And what it does is put pressure on that player, because now he knows he's playing on the card. He's got to be extremely careful. Can't be quite as aggressive maybe as he'd like to be, because gets a second yellow card, then it equates to the red, and then your team plays down.
So right now they're even, though.
Yes, for right now.
Both teams are even. This is Aiden Blevins.
Nice.
Aiden, what a nice save.
Nice
wow.
save. Yes.
Great save by Ian Sauer.
And it was still in. And
Ian Sauer went headlong to make that save.
yes, that's it had curl on it, had eyes, as we say.
Yeah.
I don't think the keeper was actually expecting it to go to near post, because they had a wall set up to cover the near post and was expecting where all the other players were set up back farther out the field.
Nice save there by Pattersonville. Well, that's their first opportunity to score for Harper Tech. Almost came away with a goal. We give a lot of credit there to the goalie Sauer. Again, we said he has 5 shutouts this year, so he'd like nothing better than record that 6th shutout. Bobby, you know that. Can't overemphasize when you've got an experienced goalie, this goalie that's been a starter since he was a freshman, now a senior.
Well, he's the general in the back. He coordinates the defense, and that kind of experience is invaluable.
I equate it to a catcher in baseball. You know, he's the only one that's facing in that direction defensively. Contact, no call. It's like both players were initiating that contact.
And corner kick.
Well, we talk about football being a collision sport. Soccer, some people think, well, no, hey, but it is a contact sport. There's a lot of contact that goes on.
Yes, it's expected, but it has to be controlled.
Corner kick.
Oh,
and a goal.
Yes.
And a goal. That ball came off, not directly off the corner, bounced around, had an opening. Let's see who scored that goal.
I think it came off a defender and was dropped right at the feet of the person who scored.
Looks like Alex Salem again, number 17, getting credit.
Huskies goal, his second of the game, scored by number 17, Alex Salem.
And it is. You'll see how this ball on the corner kick comes in, bounces around. That's Salem, and one times it, puts it right past the goalie, and again, Sauer with not a chance, actually Wozar with not a chance to move. So now it's 2-0, that goal scoring at the 18:10 mark of the first half. It's down 2-0 now. Pattersonville leading Harford Tech.
And that's a perfect example of service of the ball outside of the reach of the keeper.
Boy, give Salem a lot of credit too. His first goal was a 25-yarder. He just simply bombed it in. That time the ball was bouncing free, and without settling it, he just one-timed the ball past the goalie.
Yeah, and it was looked pretty obvious to me that he was actually directing that ball. It wasn't just to kick the ball, and he got lucky enough to go in. It looked like he was actually controlling and aiming for that corner.
And again, with Wozar, he really had no opportunity whatsoever. The ball was struck perfectly on the far lower part of the net.
It's a good idea there. We just saw that the player on the right-hand side here wanted to cross the ball to the other side of the field, change directions, and almost got it. It was a great idea, just not quite getting there. The defender was able to get his head up.
Pattersonville is a 1A school, and Bob, most folks realize that means in the state they divide their schools into 4 attendance categories or enrollment categories, the biggest being 4A, down to 1A, the smallest. So in some ways that gives Pattersonville an advantage. in that they play against smaller schools, but smaller schools sometimes have the better teams. And in the Chesapeake division, that means they have to play against Bel Air, Seymourton, Wright, Falston, all the schools that are 3A, the larger schools. And you're playing golf, you're playing football. What else in the fall? I'm forgetting. I'm talking about male sports that you have to draw from. So to have a good football program, which they do. Here's another corner kick. Getting it out. My point being is that it's very difficult to field 3 or 4 really good teams in the same season. Pattersonville is successful in doing that.
Well, when you build a reputation, and if you recruit, because let's be honest here, you have different coaches within the same school.
Oh, nice save.
Yes.
Nice save by Wozar. They tried to clear the ball out and it didn't get cleared. Wozar, volleyball is the other sport I was not bringing to mind that's played also in the fall.
So there's competition between the different sports for quality athletes. I remember when I was playing at Edgewood. Play on.
Haverty Grace. Nice clear. When you were playing at Haverty Grace?
Yeah.
At Edgewood. See, I told you never to say that again. No, it was me that not to say it again. Yeah.
We were a young program. We didn't have it until 2 years before I got involved in it. But we would play North Harford, and they didn't have a football program.
Yeah.
So we played against, their athletes who, many of whom probably would have played football.
Yeah.
So they had superior athletes.
That's very true. North Harford was a soccer powerhouse back in those days.
Yeah, actually, we were the first team to unseat them as county champions.
Not that you remember that.
Of course I remember.
Would that be 30? How many years ago?
Oh, I just. Thank you for saying so few.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I was coaching baseball at Aberdeen, and when lacrosse came in for the first time in the mid-'70s, and I can remember folks who shall remain nameless tried to raid my baseball team to come up with lacrosse players. One point there was a kid named Ripken that they tried to convince to play lacrosse. I'm thinking, how different would the history of sports be had Calvin Edwin Ripken Jr. decided to, I think I'll play lacrosse. His father would have killed him, first of all. But secondly, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, and Cal Jr. played soccer, too.
He did, and he was a great soccer player. Also a great basketball player. Cal was pretty good at just about everything he did, as I think the Major League record will show. Coming up on the 13-minute mark left in this first half. It's a 2-0 lead, as you see, for Pattersonville. Scored their goals at 32-15 and 18-10, both off the foot of Mr. Alex Salem. And is that a third goal?
No, it's side net, but not by much.
Just off the top.
Keeper was in good position, though. He covered the angle.
Yeah. What is that, 10 feet tall, Bob, the goal?
Yeah.
Or is it, I think it is, yeah, 10 feet tall. So that, if you're a goalie, theoretically, you could jump high enough to be able to block it.
Well, if you look at most of your college programs and certainly your professional level, that your goalies are some of the largest, tallest players on the field. It reminds me of again, going back to my experience when I was a senior. Paul Metzger, who also used to coach the soccer team and the basketball team, got Dennis Compton from his basketball players, who was quite tall, to come out and play goalie for us.
Yeah, 6'4", Dennis Compton, recently inducted into the Edgewood High School Hall of Fame, graduate class of '74. And he was an outstanding goalie as well as a great baseball pitcher. and now a 5 handicap golfer.
I tried golf for a while, but it messed up my tennis stroke. Seriously, I played honestly on the tennis team, and I did play golf, and I got to the point where I was basically scooping my tennis stroke. And I said, no, I got to make a choice.
Yeah. It is a different. Here comes Harvard with a chance. Did I say Harvard? Harper Tech. Gosh, I said I wouldn't say that again. I'll just change them to Tech. How's that?
How's that? It's good.
Gosh, thank you, Robert. Apologize. I have Harvard on the brain here.
It's good officiating here. The referee just went over and just making sure that the Tech player was all right, and basically talked to the Pattersonville player.
Yeah.
Just, give us a second here and make sure that we don't need to stop the game.
Bob, being an official, you know that part of the game is calling it, yeah, making sure the right call is made, but another part is these are young men.
Yeah, and you know, the number one responsibility of officiating crew is player safety.
Yeah.
And I always try to let the
Nice shot by the Warriors.
to let the player tell me whether or not that they needed to go off. So I would go over to the player I would down and ask him simply, I said, do you need to go off, or you just need a moment?
Ian Sauer with that save, Bob, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but that was a good chance for the Harper Tech Cobras to score, and Sauer came out and made sure he didn't. Good job by coming out, cutting down the angle. Good reason why Sauer has 5 shutouts this year. That's quite an accomplishment, and he's playing against day in and day out some of the best schools in the state. You know, the Harford Techs, of course, and the players like Paulston and Bel Air and C. Milton Wright. And again, emphasizing that Pattersonville, the smallest school along with Harvard Grace, Joppatown also fits in that category. Small in terms of enrollment. Pattersonville are now joined by Harvard Grace as a middle high school. That concept, Bob, in some ways goes back to when I was in school, when you had a junior high and a high school together in the same building. Kind of interesting how it has worked out here very well, and at Harvard Grace, again, small enough that you can get 1,500 students in the same building. Good job by the Cobras coming out and disrupting what Pattersonville was trying. Down to the 8:30 mark left in this first half. Harford Tech looking to try to extend their win streak. They've won their last 2 in a row. Pattersonville has 9 wins this season without a loss, 9-0-1.
Yeah, their next game will be against C. Milton Wright, which I think will be probably the premier game of the season.
And that is their last contest of the regular season, is the C. Milton Wright contest. I think that's coming up next week, early next week.
I don't have the exact date, but I believe it is.
Harper Tech.
Okay.
Offside, the call.
Just offside.
Explain, Bob, the offside call.
Well, as an offensive player, you have to have the ball or the 2 defenders between you and the ball when the ball is played. And it's going to be very tricky. Sometimes the offensive player just anticipates the touch just a hair too soon, and you get yourself in, you negate the opportunity. And
Bob,
that case was there. It's just a half a step too quick.
As a referee, would you say that that's the most difficult call, the offside?
Yeah, because, you know, for the most part, everybody recognizes a foul. You kick somebody, you trip somebody, you push somebody. Those are all pretty easy to see. The call in the offsides, you know, infringement is difficult because you have to be in the right position. You have to be exactly where you need to be.
That means that you have to be hustling. You can't sort of lollygag going up the field. because you have to be in a position where you can look straight across the field and decide whether that offensive player has jumped the gun a bit.
Yeah, and of course, we always get the coaches and we get the fans who are off on a different angle or 20 to 30 or sometimes 50, 60 yards away and trying to make that call for the officials. But, you know, my attitude as the official is that if I'm in position, even though coach or the players might not agree with, they have less of an opportunity to complain because you can't say, how can you make that call when you're not positioned? Well, I was in position. So
and it's very difficult because it looks like your offensive has something going. They've got an attack going, and all of a sudden you blow the whistle and stop the play. And that certainly upsets the fans who are looking for a goal to be coming forward.
Yeah. And especially when you have a two official crew, your responsibility is more because not only do you have to try to be in position and watch for the offside, but you also have to watch the ball. You have to watch for dynamic play that's happening right in front of you, or maybe even a little behind where the last defender is. And so a lot of programs, counties, and even inside counties where they don't have a three-man system all the time, they allow the schools, if they want to pay for the extra official, to have a third official. And that way, then the linesman, the only responsibility really the linesmen have is to stay with the offside all the time. And it also allows for the center referee to be closer to the play. So a referee in a two-man system is not making calls from such distance.
Inside 5 minutes now left in the half, which brings up the point, and I've said it often as a non-soccer aficionado. To me, offsides is a call or a rule that could be eliminated. In other words, if I want to cherry pick, so to speak, as an offensive player, go down, it means that I have to put a defensive player back there to guard me, which opens up the field. I've always thought that
that's a great play. That's a great ball over the top. Oh,
down they go. I've always thought it was a rule that could be looked at and could be eliminated without hurting the nature of the game and maybe even helping it.
We'll have to agree to disagree.
I know it's a purist. As a purist and someone who's a soccer, aficionado, it's something that's the rules. But it's one of those rules that I see sometimes, especially if an official is out of position. Very difficult call to make. That's the end of my. I'll get off my soapbox.
There we go.
Chance for Harper Tech to score.
But he was the throw-in guy.
Good pass back.
Harper Tech looking for an opening. Just not quite able to get enough foot on the ball. Coming up on the 3-minute mark now left in this first half. It's been a well-played first half. The Pattersonville Huskies have scored twice, as you can see, and both of them scored by Alex Salem. And Bob, they have had the more opportunities, obviously, to score. No harm, no foul there.
It was all ball. That's another one of those situations where it's a contact sport.
Yeah.
And there was contact, but it was clean contact.
Obviously, if you're West Rich and Pattersonville, you're looking beyond the regular season. I mean, you're a very accomplished team. You won the regions, 4 years in a row. Last year, of course, there was no soccer. So, the last 4 seasons that you played, you won the region title. Won the state title back in 18. So you look at yourself as, a state champion, let's say, possibility. Obviously, it's one game at a time. But these kind of games do give you a chance to, warm up, make sure that you're playing at your top level.
Yep.
Here comes the Warriors.
Oh, my.
Oh, the Cobras almost with a chance to score.
That ball curled away from the post. I think the keeper was in real good position to cover that, and was, he could see that it was curling away, and so he let it go by. But a solid strike.
And that was Aiden Blevins. It looked like he may have hit the ball a little bit off the outside of his foot rather than the inside.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. Sauer was in excellent position to maybe make that save had it been, inside the net area. That certainly was Harper Tech's greatest opportunity to score so far. Out of play. Harper Tech with 1:13 left in this first half. Bob, obviously when you're down 2 goals, the object is to try to narrow it down to 1. I mean, that sounds simple, but a 2-goal deficit is daunting when you get it within 1 goal. We saw that happen the other night in field hockey, where a team was trailing 2-0 the entire game, North Hartford against C. Milton Wright, narrowed it to 2-1, and then scored with 50 seconds left in the game to tie it and force overtime.
Well, we like to say in soccer is that a 2-0 lead is the most dangerous lead in the game.
Why?
Well, because the tendency sometimes is to let down a little.
Yeah.
You say, okay, we're up 2, and we're dominating play, and so you just relax a little bit. You don't stay quite as focused, and that's where the mistake happens. That's where the ball over the top, or a missed kick or something.
You're down. You're up 1-0. You know that you're in danger. You have to guard, but it's almost like you're right. You've got a little bit of a cushion there. Down 2 seconds, 1 second, and that is the end of the first half. That goal kick did not count. Harper Tech trailing by 2-0. The 2 goals scored by Alex Salem for Pattersonville. The first one at 32-25 and the second one at 18-10. So here at halftime, our score is the Pattersonville Huskies 2 and the Harper Tech Cobras 0. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the second half action as Mr. Moon greets us. Boy, that's a great shot. Good job, Harvard Cable Network guys. We'll take a break and come right back with the second half. Well, we're back with you at Pattersonville High School. The Pattersonville Huskies taking on the Harper Tech Cobras. Bob, we were talking off air that Pattersonville does look like a quality team, a team that, let's say hypothetically, has a chance to go a long way in the States. Obviously, 1 game, 1 goal, it hits sudden death, you're out of it. But they do have good players throughout their lineup. They have good offense, they have good defense, they're fast, they're aggressive. You can see they're well schooled in the sport of soccer.
Yeah, they keep their shape, as we like to say in soccer, is they know their responsibilities, just like sort of like football. You have to stay in your lane. You have to stay with your responsibility. And while there's a little, you can see players in soccer, a defender will gather a ball, and because he has the momentum or has the space to be able to move forward, we'll go all the way up to the offensive end.
Yeah.
But you have your other midfielders, or it's at that point we'll fall back and take that position until play returns sort of, I guess you'd say, to normal.
Well, we started play now here, 40 minutes left, and of course they switched around. Harper Tech Cobras going from right to left across your TV dial, and Pattersonville going from left to right. Pattersonville in the home teal uniforms, coming in with a 9-0-1 record. Harper Tech 6-4. We mentioned they won their first 4 games of the season, lost their next 4. They've won their last 2, so they'd like to see that string extended now to have 4 more wins coming to the end of the year. And obviously we're in the last week and a half of the regular season, getting ready for the postseason. Pattersonville in the 1A division, looking to make another move, having won 4 straight region titles, 16 through 19. Ball coming all the way to goalie Wozar. Wozar's played a good game. He's just been under pressure, Bob.
Yes.
Ball goes out of play. It'll be triggered in by Pattersonville. That's Kyle Luddy, number 18.
Long throw.
Great throw.
Long throw can be just as dangerous as a quality kick.
Boy, Bob, that's a very good point. Harper Tech player down. Referee's calling timeout.
Yeah, he's not going to get up for a little bit.
Yeah, we won't speculate on his injury, but he does appear to be in just a little bit of discomfort at this point. Again, I always say that, Bob, as a former coach, when I was my trainer, you could put what I know about medical training in a thimble and have room left over, but they have professional medical people, trainers here, that if an injury occurs, they're right on the spot. They come to the school the following day. They check up on these young men and young women. I mean, what a great feeling of comfort it is as a parent or a coach to know that you've got somebody who's a professional in the field.
Well, even as an official, that takes a responsibility off of me to make decisions. And the last thing that I would want to do is allow a player to continue to play when maybe they're not physically able or emotionally able. And so you have an I wouldn't say disinterested, but you have a third party who can make that decision and take that decision away from the coaches sometimes, because coaches get wrapped up in in the game and they have an interest.
And Bob, we talk about a contact sport, and that is soccer. And concussions for many, many years were, let's say, the dirty little secret that didn't get talked about in soccer, because when you go up to head the ball, heads collide. You get hit with the ball a number of times. So concussions, I think you might agree, are probably the most serious or dangerous kind of an injury that you don't always pick up in the game of soccer.
Yes, actually, there's a lot of training available for referees to recognize the signs, because unfortunately not every game has a trainer on site. And so there are those occasions where we are forced to kind of make a decision about the...
Yeah, and the trainer is, like 50 yards away.
Right.
You as an official are right there.
So
here's Harvard Grace now. Let's see what they can... Harvard Grace has said again. Here's Harper Tech. Eventually, sorry, folks. Oh, great save there. That
good
ball
strike.
right at the feet of Ian Sauer, who makes that save.
That's a quality strike. The ball was dipping, and they're sometimes the hardest to control because it's going to skip right in front of you. Yeah. And a lot of times what you'll see in a situation like that is the keeper won't handle the ball cleanly, and it bounces off, and then that's where you get the rebound goal. Yeah,
and in this field, there's a little bit of a dew settling on now, and the ball has a tendency to skip and slide. So again, I always like to try to relate it to something I know something about, and that is baseball. That little short hop that comes up to you, especially when the ball has some English on it, some spin on it. And again, this 2-0 score. Bobby, you said it. That's a very uncomfortable, and should be an uncomfortable lead if you're the one with the 2-goal lead.
Well, that and the team that's on the short end of the stick at this point says, really, we're not that far away.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's 3 or 4-0 and basically you have a letdown. They know they're still in the game.
Harper Tech on a brief run there. That was Reed Dideau, number 10 for Harper Tech. Bob, at what point, if you're Pattersonville, do you sort of back into a defensive shell and stop attacking, or do you?
Well, as they say, the best defense is a good offense, and unless you're towards the very end of the game, you might want to start packing in. But again, you don't want to give the field away.
Yeah. They say about football, when you play prevent defense, the only thing it prevents is winning the game.
That's right.
You're winning the game because you'll relax and again, allow the other team to be the aggressor. Been a very cleanly played game, a very well officiated game. Harper Tech and the Pattersonville Huskies.
Yeah, very few fouls called. Let's not jinx it.
Yeah. I was watching a baseball game the other night, and the announcer, or I guess it was football, the announcer made the statement that he hadn't missed a field goal in like X number of, and of course, naturally, he missed it. So as an announcer, the last thing you want to do is to make some, like statement like, oh, he hasn't missed one yet. The announcer jinx.
I like what I'm seeing from Tech starting this half. They are bringing more people up into the midfield a little bit more, and that's where Pattersonville was really controlling the game in the first half. There were too many large gaps with Tech between their defensive alignment and their players up top. So now we're controlling a little bit in the middle of the field. We're getting more opportunities to get over the top or to bring the ball forward and to press the defense. And here's an example of it just right there.
Harper Tech, again, looking to try to narrow this score. They've been down since really early, about 8 minutes into the game, the 32-25 point left in the first half. How the play it goes, it looks like that will be a corner kick.
And there's a question of communication right there. The keeper started to come after that ball, the defender, so there was a, of course we can say things a little differently from up here, but could the keeper have gotten it and then not have this situation where you have corner kick?
Good job heading it out by Harford Tech. Good defensive play. It was Reed Dudeau, by the way, number 10, who made that nice defensive play by the Cobras.
Another long throw coming up.
Well, you're right, Bob. Beautiful throw. Kyle Letty, the senior. You also mentioned, Bob, you look at that lineup. They're defensive back, all seniors. Look at their midfield. You've got 2 seniors and only 1 junior. That's Alex Salem, the young man who scored both of the goals. In their attack, that's where you have the youth. You've got the freshman Diego Pedralta and Benny Wysong. Benny Wysong, a sophomore. And I guess as a coach, that's not uncommon to have your more experienced players in the defense and the midfield.
Well, it really doesn't. I guess it's just a matter you put your best players where you benefit you, the team, and it really doesn't matter what year they're in. Although it certainly helps that they have experience, but the game has evolved so much lately. I mean, when I was coming up, there were some Parks and Rec. Unless you lived in Baltimore and where soccer was a hotbed down in Little Italy, Patterson Park, those kinds of things. Soccer was just, way down the list.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have, just a little too far.
Yeah.
We didn't have the training. We didn't have the coaching. And now kids are getting quality coaching at the under 9 and under 10 level. The kids sometimes are doing things at that level that I couldn't do when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Their understanding of the game is so improved. There, now, see, there's the example. You have someone in the middle taking space. Little.
Yeah, that shot from 35 yards out.
A little adventurous.
Yeah, I like how you say a little adventurous.
So yes. So by the time players are getting into this level, they've got quite a bit of experience.
No scoring here so far in this second half. We're now 10 minutes into the second half. Inside 30 minutes left in the game. 40-minute halves. Bob, in field hockey, they've gone now to quarters instead of having, a full half of, let's say, 35 minutes. Now they're going to, 15, 20-minute quarters. What do you think? Is that something that would be good to go to quarters?
Well, I think it disrupts the play of the game, but that's just me. If you look in the National Federation, which governs all high school athletics and all sports, in the soccer manual, you'll see that there are states and counties that actually do play quarters.
Yeah.
And you know, we talked about this last game. Is we start the season very early. We're playing in August in some of the worst heat, and so we, as again about player safety, halfway through a half, we think it's appropriate to have a water break. Then we'll do that.
Yeah. As you said, you can call timeout if you see that the kids are getting a little bit winded or need a break. Pattersonville. Luddy again with the throw in. Young man is very impressive. His ability to throw the ball right where he wants to. This time intercepted by Harford Tech. I always say this when we're doing a Tech game. These young men don't have a community that they all belong to. For instance, Pattersonville, you see each other on the weekend and you come up through school together. Harper Tech, you leave your middle school, let's say you're in Havre de Grace, you're in Aberdeen or Bel Air, and you commit to go to Harper Tech, and so the only time you see your teammates is in the game. Well, that would be 3 points if we were playing the other form of football. So I'm always impressed with Tech, the fact that kids, as they do in the magnet programs, will give up their community association to come to Tech to take up a program, be it CAD, computer-aided design, or be it carpentry or auto body or whatever the sports medicine, whatever the program might be.
Yeah, that's you're asking students to make basically a hard decision.
Yeah.
But many of them are already inclined to a profession or a career. And
Bob, to get up at 6 in the morning, catch a bus early on the other side of the county. Let's say you're in North Hartford, you're catching the bus before daylight, even in the more summery months. So I'm always impressed by how they're able to come together and play as a team, not having that camaraderie that they had, growing up.
Well, that actually kind of goes back to what I said about so many more opportunities to play the game at club level and et cetera. And so a lot of these players, they play with each other when they're not playing with their high school team.
But if you happen to be from Tech, though, you might be from Edgewood, and you'll play in the Edgewood Parks and Rec. But the other kid that's your teammate who's from North Hartford, you won't see him till you come to high school. So you won't see him in middle school because you're in separate middle schools. Just always impresses me. In Tech back in about 1991, when they started having ninth graders come to Tech. Let's see if they can, nope, they weren't able to, goes down. Looks like they're gonna call. The official makes the call that he was tripped. Was that inside the penalty area?
No, just outside.
I know you can, we haven't mentioned the fans. We've got a nice crowd here tonight. They, not the Pattersonville side of the fans, not exactly agreeing with the call made by the official. That was Chris Woodstadt who made that call. So Harper Tech now will have an opportunity as Aiden Blevins, number 20. The wall is set up, what, Bob, 10 yards away?
Yes, that's a requirement. That's actually one of the nicer things about playing on a football field. It's easy to see what 10 yards is. Oh.
Yeah, that would again be worth 3 points, but here it's worth nothing.
Yeah. The right idea.
Yeah.
Just a little under the ball.
Inside 25 minutes left in the contest. Harford Tech Cobras looking to try to narrow the score. Both goals scored in the first half, both scored by Alex Salem, one at 32-25, the other at 18-10. Salem now with 8 goals on the year. As it stands now, should the score remain, Salem would get credit for his second game-winning goal of the season.
That looked like a card there.
.24:04 clock is stopped as the officials sort it out. You say you think there was a card?
Yeah,
issue?
the clock stops. That'd be the only reason I would see that. You stop the clock when you issue a card. It's unfortunate. They kicked it right into the wall. Well, what I heard in the crowd was that was the 4th foul. And actually, if you commit a foul that really isn't what we say egregious in of itself, it would give you a direct yellow or a red card. The fact that you have what they call persistent infringement, where you make a pattern of trifling fouls, or as a team could say target an outstanding player and have a variety of players sort of foul him as a tactic. Referees can see that and understand the flow of the game, and they can card under those circumstances. They call it persistent infringement.
Cobras had something going, but got disrupted.
String passes together. This is what Tech needs to do. They need to string passes together and maintain position. This is good.
Moving the ball.
Needs a little more support.
Good defensive play made there, just as it looked like Tech had something going. Can't tell looking all the way across the field. That may have been Luddy who made that sliding tackle. That throw kind of to nobody. Here comes Pattersonville.
Wow.
Header just not able to get it in the direction of the goal.
Yeah, couldn't. It was a little high, so he couldn't get over top of the ball, but did try to deflect it, change its direction.
That was a well-conceived play. You said it right that Pattersonville, you can tell they played together for years. You can tell they know exactly how the game is supposed to be played. Staying in their lanes, as you said, and making the correct pass. Harford Tech, give them credit. They have hung in this game. Remember, they lost that game earlier, 6-2 to Pattersonville. Emphasize again, normally you don't play a team twice in the same year. Edgewood, who was supposed to be Harford Tech's opponent that night, dropped out, don't have a team this year. And so Pattersonville stepped up. They substituted Pattersonville. And so Harper Tech plays Pattersonville twice this year.
Nice.
Oh, nice defensive play.
Hit it.
Had an opening, just couldn't get it done.
A little bit of a half volley there.
That was Aiden Blevins again, number 20, who almost had a chance at an open shot. Coming up on the 20-minute mark, just about halfway through the second half. Bob, we have the great pleasure coming up 2 nights from this being a Monday night. On Wednesday night, Boston at Bel Air will have 2 straight boys soccer games. I know that's got you kind of excited.
Yes, it does.
It does me as well. We have 4 contests this week that Harford Cable Network is doing. We did golf on earlier today. Here's a long shot, takes a bounce, recovered by the goalie, Wozar. And we're doing soccer here tonight. We'll do soccer Wednesday night, and we get to do football on Friday night. Edgewood versus Aberdeen. And Bob, I just can't express how, me personally, am really happy that we got to play athletics this fall. Last year, of course, during the fall and the winter seasons, unable to play because of the COVID pandemic. Imagine, Bob, being a senior in your senior year, just you prepared for it, you looked to your senior year, and all of a sudden it's taken away from you. You don't get to play as a senior.
Yeah, that's tough. Not only the athletics, but there were so many other events that occur in the high school years that you just missed out on. Prom,
yeah, and not to mention even in-person instruction. You had all the virtual learning, which they did the best they could, but certainly that's not like being in a class. So again, we're just happy that things seem to be coming a little bit more normal. Athletics being part of it. Here comes Pattersonville. Nice sliding tackle.
Got the ball.
Well, you're right. The Pattersonville side is saying, hey, no, that was a dirty play, but it certainly wasn't. And boy, the official was right on top of it.
Yes, and he gave the signal. He actually used his hands to make the round demonstration that shows, in his opinion, that got the ball. It was a clean.
And we had a good look at it, and I think our viewers did as well. I would agree that that was a good play.
Actually, I'm looking very forward to that Bel Air Fawcett game, because if we look at the, I like to look at a comparison when we have teams like today, this evening here. How did they do against common opponents? And in each case, whether win or loss, they were all one-goal games, with either Pattersonville against Bel Air or Fawcett and Harford Tech against Bel Air and Fawcett. They're all one-goal games. So I'm hoping that that's indicative that we're going to get a close and a quality game.
Yeah. And obviously, from a spectator point of view or a viewer's point of view, the close games are the ones you really like to see. Two evenly matched teams playing, at a high level. And Bob, that's what we've seen tonight. Obviously, Pattersonville, the more experienced team, you can see that they have the let's say the continuity going a little bit better. But Harper Tech has simply played very, very well here tonight.
Yeah, they've done a much better job in the second half.
Guarding the ball all the way to the goalie. I like that. Nice job by goalie Wozer. Instead of kicking the ball, found his teammate. Handball is the call. Bob, in a handball, is it below the elbow that constitutes a handball, or?
Oh, anything from the shoulder down. And just because it touches the arm or the hand doesn't mean it's a handling infraction.
Okay.
Really the idea is that you intentionally gain an advantage, or that so you could actually be a situation where you're standing still and your arm is at your side and someone kicks the ball and it hits your arm. It's not a handling.
Okay.
So again, it's one of those things. It's a subjective decision by the referee. And I always like, you'll hear the crowd, you hear the coach, you hear the players all scream, handball or whatever, but they can say it a whole lot faster than you get your whistle to your mouth.
Xavier Gastia, by the way, number 12 for Harper Tech, made that great save a moment ago. Inadvertently, it goes out of play. Logan Barkey had the ball deflect off him, out of play. Substitutes coming in. We haven't seen a lot of subs here tonight. course, it's been one of those cool, crisp nights. Temperature probably into the low 50s by now. Inside 15 minutes left in the contest. Harper Tech looking to get that all-important first goal of the night.
There's a plate advantage there. There was a foul, but Tech maintained control, was able to move forward. Oh.
Nice save, just be able to get his hand on the ball.
Another one of those bouncing, skidding balls.
You see Ian Sauer there, the young man with 5 shutouts on the season. Again, emphasize a senior who's been playing since he was a freshman. Didn't get to play last year, obviously. Would have been a 4-year player. Just not able to get the head on the ball. Good opportunity for Tech. Bob, you made the comment, Tech has really played much better here in the second half. Spacing has been better. Passing has been much more crisp.
Corner kick.
Just haven't been able to get that ball in the goal. Object is to put the ball out in front of the goal and then sort of crash toward it. I think you made the point, far enough away that the goalie can't come out and punch the ball away.
Yep.
Just like that.
Oh, missed the opportunity to head that ball.
That ball was well done, that corner, right where it needed to be put.
Nice touch there to maintain control. Again.
Miscommunication by Pattersonville. Cobras get the ball back. Harper Tech has pretty much dominated here in the second half. They've had the ball in the offensive zone more than Pattersonville has had it in their offensive area. 12 minutes left in the contest. 2-0 has been the score. It was 1-0 at 32-25 and then 18-10 in the first half. 2-0, both goals by Alex Salem. Here's where the offside comes into play. Just couldn't get a foot on it enough. Sauer doing a nice job by not coming out that time, hanging back and being able to scoop the ball up. If you're Mike Dempsey, the third-year coach of Harper Tech, you've got to be happy with the way your team is playing. They're playing probably one of the top teams, at least in their classification, 1A, in the entire state, and you're playing them pretty much even up.
Yeah, they've done much better in their positioning. They've been more aggressive to the ball, and they've been taking space, which is what's opened up the passing game for them.
A nice job there by Letty, number 18. We've called his number quite a bit. Kyle Letty, also a basketball player for Pattersonville.
Maybe that's why he can throw it so far.
Because he's a great basketball player. Probably that two-hand pass. You're going to see him with an opportunity right here. Throwing it in from just about the 40-yard line all the way down to the 10.
Push up, push up.
Nice pass.
Here comes Harper Tech.
I'd like to see them carry those balls a little further.
Yeah.
They're over the top, and what they're doing is it's allowing the defensive player to see the ball coming towards him, while his partner or his teammate has to look over his shoulder to see where the ball's coming.
And Bob, that comes from experience, don't you think? Playing, together more.
Yes.
2 winning programs. Harper Tech 6-4, Pattersonville 9-0. Well, you think about it, those perfect seasons, so hard to come by, especially in a sport like soccer, where often decided by 1 goal. Bob, you were running down some of their scores, and they've been close. They really have had a couple of blowouts, but they've had a lot of close contests as well.
And sometimes, those scores you think it's a blowout aren't indicative of the quality or the level or the closeness of the game. I've seen some games that the scores didn't look all that good, but for the sake of a couple of bounces here or hit the post or the crossbar there, give a whole different look to the game.
At one time, they used to decide tie games by almost like riding time in wrestling, where it was possession in the offensive zone.
You did it by corner kicks.
Yeah,
The
you're
number
right.
of corner kicks that your team had.
That's right. At one time, it was that as well, which indicates in some manner that you dominated the game. Not sure if I like that idea or not. What do you think?
No.
In a word, no.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Because a lot of times you get corner kicks simply out of, an accident where the ball may have been just kicked out of bounds, not purposely. But wasn't there a time in the ancient past? Let's see what Harford Tech can do.
offside.
Offside is the call.
Yeah, I guess the player anticipated the pass
Yeah.
and moved just too soon.
Almost close. Wasn't there a time where they had inside the attack area that they counted up possession time?
Might have been before my time.
I think so. I think going way back, they may have had that where you actually had somebody with a stopwatch, counting the time that you got inside a certain, yard line, figuring which team dominated the game. Now, of course, in the regular season, you just go 2 10-minute overtime, sudden death if you're tied at the end of regulation, and then you leave it as a tie. I guess in the playoffs, you then go to a shootout.
We go to
format.
shootouts.
Coming up on the 6:40 mark left in the game. Harper Tech, again, looking to try to get that one goal that would put them in a position where they can go for the tie. Good defense by Pattersonville. Throw in coming.
Nice pass.
Yeah, just nobody there for that second pass. They say what? Get your head down. Try to, oftentimes it's the tendency to pick the head up and the ball just goes high.
That or get your body over the ball.
Mm-hmm. Easy to say, hard to do
Yes.
when you're in the process and the excitement of kicking the ball. Good picture there of Ian Sauer, the goalie, and also Thomas Niblock. Thomas, one of the captains of this team, senior, track star as well. Was on the team as a sophomore. Wants to go into business marketing as his occupation or his pursuit in college. Thomas Niblock. Robbie March, the other captain for Pattersonville. Both these players on the varsity since sophomore year. Again, missing their junior year last year. Almost.
Right idea.
Inside 5 minutes left in the game now. There's a great throw in by Luddy. Well, he's been a weapon, Luddy has. When you can throw the ball, you know, two-handed, overhanded for 30, 35 yards on a dime, hitting the person you want to hit. Pattersonville with an opportunity. Good defensive play by Harford Tech.
Yes.
Clock continuing to run, 4 minutes, 20 seconds and counting. Another corner kick coming up for Pattersonville. Good play there.
That
by
almost
Wozer.
was a goal. That
Yeah.
ball had curl on it, and
Wozer went up and plucked it out of the air.
yeah, it might have actually skirted inside the back post.
Yeah,
I saw Pele do that once.
come on.
I did. I was at Old Memorial Stadium, and at the time the outdoor league was, and they had Baltimore Bays and had the New York Cosmos, and Pele played for them, and he hit a corner kick, and it spun so fast. The goalkeeper was towards the back end of the goal, and it spun just inside the near post.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
He had to be probably 45 at that time.
Yeah, he was old for soccer, at that point.
Yeah. I guess probably, arguably, the greatest soccer player ever in the history of the game. Argentina or Brazil?
Brazil.
Brazil. You know when you have just one name and that's all you need?
That's it.
You know you're a star.
Just too hard on the touch.
Harper Tech ball, 2 minutes, 45 seconds, and now time is becoming a factor.
Yeah, it's at this point it's time for Tech to pull their defense up. Maybe leave one back as a last resort.
They wanted a handball, did the Pattersonville fans, didn't get it.
So now there's an example of hard for the officials to see. Back over here where Chris is, he's looking at the player's back. All the way over there where Tony is, he's got a defender screening him. And plus both of them are anywhere between 30 and 40 yards away. It's just difficult to make those kinds of calls.
Tony Athanasia and Chris Whitstadt, the two officials. My partner Bob Frisch, I'm sure you probably officiated with one or two of them, maybe both of them.
Chris, I haven't had the pleasure to work with Tony.
Yes, Dave.
Time now just winding down. It looks like, never want to jinx anyone and say this game is over, but it looks like that Pattersonville is going to withstand the challenge and go to 10 wins on the season without a loss.
Well, I'll tell you, if I'm Pattersonville, if I'm the coaching staff, I'm the players, even though it's likely to go down as a loss, I would certainly be pleased in how they responded in the second half to take a game that was clearly controlled by Pattersonville to actually play them head up, and they had the better chances in the second half.
I agree with you. I think if you said just who dominated the second half, certainly not by a large margin, but Harper Tech had the better shots on goal, probably had the goal in the offensive zone more. But now we're inside a minute.
And I think that gives them confidence going forward. They have a couple, they have one more game left, Elkton, and then of course they'll be moving into the state playoffs as well.
So Pattersonville going to 10-0. The Tech Cobras going to 6-5 on the year. Their two-game win streak will be broken. Again, the only blemish on Pattersonville's record, that tie with Manchester Valley, a double overtime tie. Have that one game left against C. Milton Wright coming up next week to try to go undefeated in the regular season and then advance to the state playoffs. Having won the region the last 4 years in a row that the regions were contested, and won the state title back in 2018. And there's the final horn and the final seconds
Your
peeling
final
away of the
score,
game.
Huskies 2, Harper Tech nothing. Also, don't forget this game will be replayed.
Pattersonville Huskies winning the game by 2-0 over Harper Tech. Let's wrap it up quickly if we could. Bob, both goals scored by Alex Salem. Alex scored at 32-25 of the first half, and then scored again at 18-10 of the first half. That 2 goals scored, and that's the margin of victory. Final thoughts about the game?
Probably about as what I expected. I mean, you can't always assume the results will be the same from a previous meeting, but I think Harford Tech came out, like I said, I think that they learned a lot from their first game, and I think they learned a lot from the first half. And I mean, Pattersonville, they got to be happy too. They took care of business, while Tech had a fair amount of opportunities, I don't think that they ever really were terribly threatened.
Right.
So they got to feel good going into their game with C. Milton Wright, and Tech's got something to build on.
Well, that is our contest and our final result here from Pattersonville, 2-0. The Pattersonville Huskies defeating the Harper Tech Cobras. Again, going to 10-0 in the season. Harper Tech dropping to 6-5. Bob Frisch, always my pleasure.
Always great to work with you, Don.
We'll do it again Wednesday night. Hope you've enjoyed our contest again. The final score, Pattersonville winning by 2-0 over Harper Tech. Good night, everyone.